I don't think as I said, the extreme left has done anything to inhibit the art of comedy.
Right.
I'm taking that back now officially.
Gotcha.
They have not.
Consume the comedy and move on with your life.
Yeah, and so, but
you don't get to be the arbiter of like what kind of comedy everyone else gets to hear.
Yes and no. So now, but I agree with
Jerry Seinfeld is backpedaling on some comments that he made a few months ago about comedy and the left. Cenk Uygur and Anna Kasparian on the Young Turks broke all of this down. For people who are upset about Anna Kasparian's perceived shift to the right, they're probably going to be more upset. We're going to take a look at these clips from the Young Turks. I'll share my thoughts here from time to time. Let's get into it.
Here's the thing that I got wrong is I didn't know. This was all press I was doing for Unfrosted. I did a bunch of it, and I enjoyed all of it. I did not know that people care what comedians say. That literally came as news to me. I don't think as I said, the extreme left has done anything to inhibit the art of comedy.
Right.
I'm taking that back now officially.
Gotcha.
They have not.
But they have. Wait, what? Okay, so he is all of a sudden backtracking on a statement he made back in April where he said that the left ruined comedy. Now look, the left ruining comedy, hyperbolic. That is a little bit ridiculous. But do some factions of the left try to police comedy because they take great offense to funny comedy? Yeah, they do.
Yeah, they do. But I agree with Jerry. Like, I get his frustration. So, like, whenever they're busting Kamala Harris or some corporate Democrat on some extreme left thing that they did, and we're supposed to be to the left of them, and we are, but on economic issues, on things that make sense, they're like, aha, and you agreed, said this. I never agreed to any of that. I'm on the record. Whenever the Democrats go too far, I go, no, not buying it. I'm not in favor of that. I don't think we should pay for undocumented trans surgeries while they're in custody. I don't know why we're doing that. They're not American citizens, et cetera. And watch, like leftists will get super mad about me saying that.
No,
right?
They're melting down right now.
Right, and so I never agreed to any of the extreme stuff, but there was a moment where I got so frustrated with the police abuse. I originally was against defund the police very strongly, and they got tons of pushback on that.
I remember,
right?
Yep.
And for like a minute, I was like, God damn it, maybe we should defund the police. And then I regained my senses and went back to my original position. So I understand where Jerry's coming from. He got frustrated by the leftists, who you're right, do exist, who are like, you can't joke about that, and you can't joke about this, and do you know how insensitive it is to joke about that?
Yeah,
right?
the killjoys who could very easily just not go to a comedy show that they find offensive.
Yeah.
You know, it's called making decisions for yourself. And if you don't like the comedy, don't consume the comedy and move on with your life.
Yeah, and so, but
you don't get to be the arbiter of like what kind of comedy everyone else gets to hear.
Yes and no. So now, but I agree with Jerry that he did go too far, and I like that he's bringing it back. Okay.
All right.
So,
So there's the rightward shift with Anna Kasparian. Here's the whole thing about this to me. Which of these comedians who have been crying about cancel culture and all of this have been canceled? Jerry Seinfeld is the most milquetoast comedian in the world. He gets to still do his boring comedy, and he made his movie about Pop-Tarts or whatever it was, and everybody said it was terrible. I haven't watched it. Let me know in the comments if you watched Jerry Seinfeld's Pop-Tart movie and if it was good or not. Nobody's coming to cancel Jerry Seinfeld. Nobody really cares. And the comedians like Dave Chappelle, who cried about cancel culture, did he get canceled? No. He made how many Netflix specials where he mostly talked about trans people and made millions of dollars from those comedy specials? Now, if they want to say with social media, everybody has a voice now and everybody can complain, and in the past, these celebrities and comedians and all of that would have been insulated from all of that. They wouldn't have, heard as much criticism of them. Fine. But nobody's canceling them. Jerry Seinfeld has hundreds of millions of dollars. And I don't know of anybody who has he been canceled? He's on a show right now talking or this was recorded, but was on a show, talking about how he's changed his mind. I think it's funny. The celebrities do this and the politicians do this, talk about how they've been canceled or their freedom of speech is taken away from them or whatever. And they're saying it on TV or on a podcast that millions of people are listening to.
Because what he's saying is, look, guys, we got to read the room. That's our job as comics. And Bill Burr's been saying that. A lot of top comics are saying that now. So the momentum has swung from stop crying about people's complaints and do goddamn comedy, okay?
Well, that I agree with. Like, I also can't stand comedians incessantly whining about people being offended by their jokes. I get that it's annoying. I get that it's frustrating when people are trying to police your comedy, but also let's not forget who has the power here.
Yeah, so let me give you an example of, in my opinion, where we went too far, where the comics went too far, right? But to distinguish between who's right and wrong. Anyway, so for a while, every comedy set was about, oh, they don't let me make this joke, but watch this. Trans people, you suck, ha ha ha. I'm like, that's not a joke.
Yeah, exactly.
And then I'd watch there for half an hour, and guys who were enormously funny before, like Dave Chappelle, all of a sudden like doing nothing but like, I'm so bold because I say things that people hate. No, you have to actually include a joke, right? But I then saw the Ricky Gervais special, and I was like, look, I don't want him beating up on trans people again, like every other comic, and I heard that he did in his set, and I was super frustrated. Then I watched it and I was like, no, that was funny. And he wasn't beating up on them. He was making a joke and then saying, but guys, of course we don't believe that. It's called comedy, right? And he shouldn't have to explain that. You should be able to get it from the way that he makes the joke, and I did. But the times being what they were, I appreciate that he even clarified, right? Mm-hmm. So I thought Gervais did it exactly right. Chappelle, as much as I respected him in the past, I thought was so unfunny for so many specials.
They turned into lectures. Like,
yeah,
some of those specials did turn into lectures, and it's like, I get that you are frustrated at the backlash you're getting, but it's getting to your head too much, and it's hurting your comedy. Like, move on.
100%.
Move on.
So interesting. This was a couple of years ago, and it's funny that Anna Kasparian doesn't bring this up, but on an episode of probably 2 years ago or so of The Young Turks, she said that she went to see Dave Chappelle in Los Angeles and that she was a big fan and liked his comedy and everything. And she was very disappointed, Anna Kasparian was, because she said all Dave Chappelle did was talk about trans people. I don't know why she doesn't bring this up here, but she said it was really disappointing because it seemed that he was obsessed with that.
It became like some sort of like debate between leftists and comics, and nobody was having fun.
100%.
So when Burr and the others and now Jerry are saying, no, let's get back to comedy and not worry about what the critics are saying. We're comics. So just do your comedy, and if it's funny, people will love it. And do you have to change with the times sometimes? Of course. People used to use the N-word in comedy all the time. They don't use it anymore because people are like, whoa, that's weird. Why are you hateful, right?
And this is a great point that Cenk Uygur brings up here. Times change. I mean, look at, this was what, 15 years ago now, maybe 10 years ago, that Michael Richards, who played Kramer from Seinfeld, was doing stand-up and said the N-word, and that pretty much was the end of his career. And so that was a comedian who actually did get kind of canceled, or he sort of canceled himself, because I don't think he went out anymore after that. But yeah, times change, and a comedian couldn't just go on stage and use racial slurs and people think that was cool or funny. I mean, I guess there would be some audience that would be into that, but if Jerry Seinfeld just went out on stage and just started using racial slurs, that would probably be the end of him. And it's been like that for a long time. And comedians have known for a long time that audiences would not find that funny today.
Because our culture changed, and you got to change with that. You can't be like a cranky old 98-year-old comic going, I remember when we used to be able to say hateful things and people laughed. Now they're not even laughing at it anymore. Yeah, they're not. So move, find something funny.
Okay, I remember, there's that NFL guy who's kind of cute and was married to Gisele Bündchen. What was his name?
Tom Brady.
Tom Brady. Okay.
There's that NFL guy.
So they did a roast of him.
They did.
And it was great. Like there were a lot of offensive jokes and it was great. Sometimes you just want to laugh. You want to be able to laugh at yourself. You want to be able to just like take some of these issues that are heavy, serious issues and make light of them. Honestly, for a lot of people, the way that they cope with these heavy, difficult, terrible issues in the world is finding the humor in it or resorting to humor in order to cope with it. Like there is an incredibly important role for comedy in today's society. And I just take issue with any group, whether it's leftists, people on the right, I don't care, trying to be the arbiters of what is and is not acceptable comedy.
Yeah, but both sides have to adjust, right?
I agree, yes, I do. I agree with that. So if audiences aren't liking your comedy because you're going too far and you're not selling tickets to your shows, don't cry about it. That's when you have to adjust.
Yep.
But also, let's give comedians the space and the room to fail, okay? And let the market decide.
Yeah, and by the way, and if you don't, that's okay too. Who cares? So like, if Dave Chappelle thinks, oh, I was funny, and Cenk thinks I was, and I hate him. Okay, that's fine, no problem. You'll find other people that find you funny. And am I going to ban him? No, I'm not going to ban him. It's a free country. He can say whatever the hell he wants. And if you say on the left, well, he shouldn't be able to make jokes that I don't like, that's not really how it works, right? And you make the best jokes you got, and then see if people like them. It's not that complicated.
So
to me, this whole thing is very overblown. That the left is really going after these comedians. Some of it, the comedians like Jerry Seinfeld are just, they're old now. They've got a bunch of money. Again, Jerry Seinfeld is worth hundreds of millions of dollars. He's lost what edge he once had because somebody, these comedians, when they're young and hungry, it's just like musicians and bands. A band does a great album when they're young that they probably worked on the songs for years, and then they become really successful. And what are you going to write songs about? Being rich and successful and, driving a Ferrari and all that? I mean, I guess if that's what rappers do, but rock bands or pop singers or whatever. Not that there haven't been incredibly successful bands that continue to do great albums, but I think you get my point. The same thing, a lot of these guys that are complaining, these comedians, and it's almost all men that are doing the complaining, have just gotten old. They have a bunch of money, and they're just not as funny as they once were. So they want to blame somebody. They want to blame the left. They want to blame the audience. There are all kinds of comedians out there right now who are really popular. A couple that I think of right off the top of my head, Theo Von and Bobby Lee. If you're not familiar with them, look them up. They do some really offensive humor. I don't see anybody canceling them. They have podcasts that are huge. They are able to make plenty of money with their stand-up. So it really comes down to they're older. I mean, I think Bill Burr is really funny. He's an older guy. He doesn't really whine about cancel culture and all of that. But some of these other older comedians, they're not at the top of their game anymore. They're not funny anymore. That's what it really comes down to. And they can't handle the criticism. But what do you think? Let me know in the comments what you think about Jerry Seinfeld and him backpedaling on these comments about the left and cancel culture and all that. Anna Kasparian and Cenk Uygur's views on this. Do you agree with them? Do you not agree with them? Make sure to leave me a comment. I love reading your comments. Make sure to give me a like and subscribe. My channel's growing really quickly. I want to continue to grow. And if you haven't subscribed yet and you enjoy this content, please do so I can make more of it. This is Chris on Culture. I will see you in the next video.